Hi everyone, I am Tina. This is To the Inner Wild. Thanks for stopping by, whether you're new or a return visitor. So today, just while talking to you, I randomly placed 3 tea light candles for a pick a candle reading. So the question that we are asking today is, what are my next steps? According to Spirit's suggestion, highest recommendation from Spirit, right? Yes, Spirit, Angel, Spirit, I invite you in, higher selves of those that are watching at the time that they are watching, as well as myself, or mine anyway. Our ancestors and the ascended masters, those, oh, and of course, since we'll call on the elementals, okay? And our spirit totems that can range from, I don't know, insects to creatures of the sea, of the night, of whatever, yeah? That are supposed to help us on our journey, give us helpful hints within the matrix. They cross paths with us to deliver a message specifically for us, even if that means just stepping out of the normal busyness of your day, right? 1:44 on the clock. Kind of froze there for a little bit. What we're using is the Mary L. Tarot. And it's the second edition. I don't know what the first edition is like, but that's okay. I like how the book words things, by the way. I've cracked it open only once, and I thought with the artistry, if you could take a sneak peek right there, that was something that, like, it's similar to visiting a museum or an art exhibit. It's like making up for lost time. Like, I would have liked to have gone to a museum or something, you know, a few of them anyway, to see different perspectives of different artists and choosing different mediums and seeing, you know, the story behind their creation and all that. So, because I didn't think to make time for it in the past summer, this just felt like it was filling a space. Yeah. So, anyway, let's go ahead and pick our candles, okay? What we are asking, yes, Spirit, is what are our next steps? So, think about that for just a few moments. Okay, what are our next steps? Now, we may already be aware of what our next steps are. It's like cross-referencing your notes. So these are your takeaways versus, you know, matching notes with the divine, your higher selves. Yeah, same thing you would do when you're working in a team, right? And taking action. So I have a few fill in the blanks with my life right now, and it feels like this can be scary at first. Major changes or changes that you're not used to making. So I think I've flushed a lot of that out, and now I feel like I can think about this kind of logically with not so much fear involved. And I did ask for the angels' help. Yeah. And once I realized also, because if you are an energy worker, then you can also understand the extremities may also be energy that isn't your own, but you are perceptive too. So it's absorbing a lot of the energy that is around you, regardless if it's intended for you. It's like feeling another's pain, feeling another's anger, feeling another's sense of, you know how far that can go. So anyway, I thought I'd take a little bit of a better hold on this and understand that possibility. Whatever really helps me in the end, it ends up being effective whether or not you believe in something like that. Anyway, 6:11 on the clock, 6:12. And let's go ahead and pick our candles, okay? Candle 1 is this? Candle 1. Oh, okay, we're gonna sprinkle some back on there. Okay, that's candle number 1. Candle number 1. Okay. What are our next steps? Candle number 2. Oh my goodness, here. Candle number 2. I'm going to go back to candle number 1 real quick, because now I have a tilt on this. Candle number 1. Okay. Candle number 2. Candle number 3. Okay. Hopefully that was enough time. Even with all of the movement, we can still make choices. And that is, like, I think the basic takeaway, if you want to look at all 3 candles. Yeah, that you can still make decisions when things are in movement. It's just a matter of fact. So my intention was to read some of these little basil sprinkles on here, see what comes to mind along with reading the cards. So let's go with, first off, pile 1. Okay, pile 1, angels, ancestors, higher selves, and ascended masters. Whoa. I suppose some of you need to get back to the basics of breathing, calming breathing, yes? Mindful breaths. It's the same aspect. I know how silly that may sound, but mindful actions become the most impactful, right? It's filled with intent. You know what you are investing in at that very moment. It's being in that very moment, down to the essentials of what most take for granted, and that is a breath of fresh air, a break, the feeling of release. Yeah. So a couple blew away, which means that in that breath, which I did not expect, there's a natural essence of letting go and letting things fall away. And the things that fall away, I can't really detect here what has fallen. So that's a message in itself, that things that are naturally released kind of are meant to be let go of. Yeah. Okay. Now there's somewhat caught on the corners. What does that mean? And it like lifts it from the candle. So there's like a frozen, like a sense of being frozen in time, like there's a pause in motion. Yeah, we see that on the corner. And it's a good, I would say, 1/8 of a candle, if not more. 6 maybe. What is that? I don't know why, but I see a lady eating like an apple. Sitting down. There's something, like, I can't tell the atmosphere, but paperwork is just like floating up in the air. It's really peculiar. Yeah, like pages are lifting from a book, like kind of tearing away into the atmosphere. And she's just kind of watching it like, I was, and it ends in some sort of like, uh, why is that weird? It's like when there's no gravity, things are floating. So like pages are tearing away from a book that's in front of her while she's like eating an apple. The she is kind of heavy set, so maybe it's depicting someone who is like, I think more symbolic, that someone is set in their ways, just watching, you know, pieces of their life kind of float around like, yeah, like things are kind of just frozen in the air, and you're seeing things like pass you by. So it's like a slow motion version of the Wizard of Oz and the tornado, but it's not as dramatic as that. It's a slow drifting and observing everything else, letting that slow down, things around you slow down so that you can see enough of what's going on around you. Yeah, like everything, not just what's in front of you. That's what that message is. Oh my gosh, 14:03 on the clock. So that is the message there for pile 1. Okay, so take that into consideration. Let me know if that makes sense to you. It kind of makes sense to me, but it'll make more sense when I go back to edit this video. And very strange how that kind of all came together. Okay, so spirit, angels, higher selves, ancestors, ascended masters. Okay, pile 1. I was about to ask, but you already know my intention. We've got the chariot. The chariot is not just about movement, but it's also finding direction on the inner plane, like the drive. Who cares about your mode of transportation when you, the driver, aren't driven enough to see things through in their worst condition? Yeah, it's the consideration. Do you see how contemplative she is? Like, it's a mothering aspect for taking responsibilities of both sides, competing interests. So it's also about weighing in action, competing views. Like, sometimes you might be torn about a situation, right? When you're at a standstill, things are at a standstill, and they're meant to be that way for you to assess. So I think it's also in practice of internalizing that feat within so that you can really drive forward with the physicality of things. So it's the whole idea of manifestation, where it sources from, it roots from, and being fully open about that. She's bare-chested, right? So it's heroic in a sense that is almost primitive, like a gorilla, like it beats on his chest. Very passionate about something, yeah? Wait, is that a lotus flower? I can't really tell, but it's at the center, right? The heart chakra. Wolves always go in packs. We have couple of different kinds of wolves here. Yeah, understanding that maybe there's like a little part of you that's kind of held up a little bit, and you need to reassess the things that are just kind of frozen around you in moving forward. So it's understanding your pets before you take them out to socialize or out in public, etc. That kind of psyche involved with having to move forward, being in alignment with your resources, live and historic. Yeah, I feel like that's that. Okay. So she braves many winters because her hair are receptive, like cosmic receptors. And that's really what our hair is thought of in spiritual sense. So her hair is almost like an adaptation to the cold. It implies some sort of a protective nature in its reach. I know this is silly, maybe and not, I don't know, but I know that when I am colder than norm, then I'll put down my hair because it acts as a natural blanket. So it's the same kind of idea here, except for the fact that it's noting more of a spiritual adaptation. It's almost like it builds an aura for her. It's the resourcefulness of being like a wolf, hungry like a wolf. Yeah. Okay. Anything else for pile 1, Spirit? That's 1. Oh, 2. Okay, the World and 10 of Swords. Okay. So, I think this is all that we're going to pull out for this deck because we're at 1912 on this. We have the World and 10 of Swords. Let's see here. I mean, Spirit, if you really want me to pick up some more, then let me know. Okay, so the assessment of things like kind of in motion. Yeah, the World, because this is like a closing, a complete circle. Closing of an old chapter. 10 is clarifying it as well as like within its partner, partnering effect. You see how she has a cape in the background? It's a cosmic cape, I'm just realizing, and how this is almost like a winged cape as well. It's death on a like skeleton pony. So it's also saying that death has many faces, yeah? Its mode of transportation, and its actual trigger. So 10 of Swords is like really just, it's it's like the darkest hour before dawn, right? Mamas and the papas. The thing is that the 10 of Swords, this is not its usual depiction. So when you look at it in this aspect, it's like this is part of it, like destined to be. Like she's motioning part of this in happening, like it's part of what's supposed to happen. The pain incurred and picking yourself up. It's the implication of not giving up. It's what follows what feels like ultimate defeat. I feel like it's very similar to the Avatar or similar cartoons or stories where when provoked to its final mode of defeat is when it resurrects. So I feel like that's the 10 of Swords that really activates the Avatar or the Phoenix or, you know, similar stories like that. Death is looking away from us. So it's like it's looking out for us. Do you see that? Like it's driving forward, like it's helping drive us forward, but it's like watching out for us during this closure of a cycle, because at that time is likely when I feel, in my experience, when we're the most vulnerable to different kinds of influences. Just as a child or a teenager or a young adult learns, that learning curve is that it's that time, our most impactful times, impressionable times when we're learning something new that is not just essential to our livelihood, but our well-being. Okay, so that's pile 1. Hope that helped you on your next steps forward, at least contemplating what those next steps may be. I think this caters to a large audience, and again, this is a timeless reading, so I think this was meant to give you some insight on your next best steps, because your input matters. All right, that was pile 1. Thanks for joining me. If you like to hit the like button, subscribe, consider donating to my channel, comment, you know, all of that good stuff. It's very helpful for me. Okay, now on to pile 2. Thank you, higher selves and ancestors of pile 2. I'm sorry, pile 1. Well, you know, maybe pile 2 is relative to, okay. Oh, I forgot, we need to read this. Okay, 24:17 on the clock. Okay, so it's pointing to the right side. Why does it want us to look to the right? It's telling us that we need to pay attention to our actions and that we should focus on an upward trajectory. It says that we also need to watch our back, and not means of paranoia, but understand your value. And if you see your value and have a hard time seeing it, that know that others see it and not always have your best interest in mind. So just to protect your energy, protect your path moving forward. Secure it, really. It's not necessarily protecting against, like, warding off, but it's, which also is inclusive of that, especially if you're highly receptive to energies. But also it's just a matter of keeping your eyes out on all of the horizon when you're moving forward, so that you know how to place your moves as accurately fit for the moment as possible. So this person is carrying a bow or some arrow or whatever, and it's on a bow of a finger that's pointing to the right side. So that boat is the Six of Swords, moving off to calmer waters, and the direction that it's going is led by angels. I can see it. And so while they're helping propel you forward, you're also keeping your eyes on the full scope of the horizon, so that in real time you can maneuver well, know what your action plan is, backwards, forwards, parallel, etc. The optimal moves to make. So angels alongside as well as above you, especially above you, are watching over you. They are working in conjunction with cosmic forces to help. They're like watching, really. They're sending you love. Yes. They're sending it in the atmosphere. And they're shooting at whatever it is that's ahead of you that needs to be cleared. It's not all of it. I'm getting the message that it's not all of it, but where you're going is correct. Yeah. Yes. Whoa, that's cool. Yeah. I see like 1, 2, 3. I hear a ringing in my ear. It's 27:55 on the clock. I see 3 angels on here, as well as the representation of you and I. Very, very cool. Okay, that's pile 2. Okay, thanks, angels. That was in my left ear, the ringing, by the way. Okay. Angels, spirit, higher selves, ancestors of pile 2, spirit totems, and by the way, for pile 1, your spirit animal might be a horse, a bird, and or wolves or coyotes. Okay, so pile 2. Oh yeah, we call it elementals as well for pile 2. Okay, what is pile 2's next best step? Okay, we got the Knight of Swords and the Queen of Swords. So the Knight of Swords moves in like hella quick. Okay, do you see this? It's almost like a ninja samurai with both swords coming through. That's like it's coming from both ends, and like a real samurai, but like a godlike force. So this is a force to be reckoned with. We have the sun depicted at the heart of spirit, and on the swords engraved are snakes. So it's very healing as far as this is like a magnified version of chivalrous knight, one who has high morals, well skilled and adept, fierce, loyal, wise, responsible. This is a very, very high grade Knight of Swords. I don't see haste in this. I see vigor, really honing in on what you believe in and what's right. Not just what's agreeable. I get that impression there. And then 30:59 on the clock. I see crows here. Crows, if not ravens. I think they're crows. Crows in a pact, of course, are called a murder, right? We only see 2 here. And a magnified eye. It's a green eye. Green eyes usually are a depiction of jealousy. We might see some of that there, like the evil eye. I feel like there's figures watching you. I really feel like that. And there is a tower on fire in the background. So the Queen of Swords. What is this saying, Spirit? Spirit totems, what do you want to say? There's a sense of warning. Can we get a clarifier on that? Because relative to the candle, it's like we need to watch our backs. All of the horizon. Oh, okay. So having a bird's eye view on things, because it's both depicted on a higher level. This one dumped out. It's total of 4. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just noticed here, watching this made these 4 cards like dump out of the deck. And I noticed the Queen of Swords, crows or ravens were facing the 10 of Swords from the previous pile. And the only thing separating them is like the Knight of Swords, kind of just like that, like ready to fend. I also, okay, get with this is that on the 6 of Swords, Journey in the Boat, what we saw on the candle, we also saw that it's like when you're on your journey, your road to recovery, to healing, to calmer waters, to a place of more peace. We're looking at, okay, the Queen of Swords, who doesn't put up with any BS, any nonsense. That we're looking at the divide between the 10 of Swords. Well, this is like also making sure that in our healing and our recovery process, not to put up with our own BS too. Ultimately, that we are source, realizing that we are the source of our problems as well as our answers. And it's all here. So when we look at that, to understand, like myself today, that if we find that we're unhappy in a certain situation, a certain arrangement of a commitment where it's not what, that had different expectations, and when you see those limitations, etc., whatever reason of legitimacy of why you're feeling unsettled about a certain agreement or a commitment, then don't let it stop there. Be your own problem solver. And if you're that unhappy about a situation, then do something about it. And this is not moving rashly like the normal Knight of Swords would, but this is seeing the divide, like break it up a little bit and, okay, figure out, you have already identified what you've found unsettling. Now, how are we going to fix that? How are we going to take command and not let this 10 of Swords pain or downfall, let it consume the Queen of Swords? While we're in upright, let's act like so and figure out several ways, what our options, what our opportunities are, so that we're not making up excuses. We're actually doing something about it. The 10 of Swords can propel us to do better. So why not take that lead and use this as a catalyst? Any kind of opposition, any kind of foundation that goes aflame, really, that becomes uninhabitable. Doesn't have to be dreadful, but likely ends up becoming like so. Okay, so we have Justice, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune, and the High Priestess. Interesting. Okay. So, our action. A couple things here in contemplation. In fact, all 4 of these cards we see, well, they're in 2 of them, very much like so, have a very mysterious identity. Like you can't distinguish the identity of what's inside, yet you know that it's very much in alignment with the universe. So I think it's tapping into that void within to really understand what our motivations are. And if we don't have them pre-established or well identified, now's the time. It's lighting that fire within. And I see that some of us need to hydrate more. That looks like a water bottle to me. And surrounded by, you know, all these waves. Yeah, I think I know I need to hydrate. But looking at this, there's something about hands here. I really feel like this is taking hold of your own destiny. There's something about the fire and like your passion. Do you see how that's very much like the two? Your destiny is, you have the power to wield it. I know how cliche that might sound, but this is something very, very different. It's like you possess this power, or it's telling us that we do, which is so cool. The power, the will. Do you see that? It's like W-I-L-L. Even though I know it doesn't say that, but like in my intuition, it's like you have the will to like engrave your own destiny, like take hold of it. It's because like they're all covered on the eyes, like you can't really see, and she's nearly drowning in tears. Just, there's sadness and injustice in the justice system. There's sadness built into it, and all royalty know this. It's not cutthroat justice. It's what there's something I'm trying to figure out. Give me a second. It's like your destiny is unfolding. It's when you're writing your destiny, you're also writing that of the universe. That's what it looks like to me, because the High Priestess card right next to this, it's like it's super abundant, whatever you are doing. So it's magnified. Do you see how inverse that is? Pomegranate, the seeds, right? How abundant that is in the cosmic universe. Oh my gosh, it's for real. 41:47 on the clock. You see how she's like the captain of her own ship? Oh my gosh, it is a ship. Is it? It is. And that's the mast, not the mast, but the wheel. And a lotus flower in between. So we have the fire on the outside. And so this is us, right? Depicting us and being able to do this blindfolded. Like this is the back of our hand, being able to know how to steer this ship. Oh, this ties into pile 1. Knowing it so well, you're able to steer it even blindfolded. And like bare chest, yeah. Like for reals. And then here we have this on the inside, okay, and then this is on the macrocosm, because each seed is, you know, fertile, that can flourish, right? So this is so much more magnified. When you steer this wheel, it's like whoosh, like everything else, right? The fire ignites within you, and then within this void, like in hermit mode. Oh my gosh, you see the sea? The sea, and then the sea. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy to me. Yeah, about going within, just feeling that flow of it. But then, you know, some get lost out at sea, right? That's sad. Okay. That's sad. But it's like a blessing in disguise also, because the way she has her hands folded, it's like when you go to church, or, you know, Catholic church or whatever, and you get communion, you have that option versus putting your hands over your chest for a blessing. So it's like a blessing in disguise. And this is very ancestral too, as you can see. Egyptian, yeah? Very something very royal about this in its endeavors. So it's something for you to take in consideration in this. I hope that helped you. 43:56 on the clock. If you like to hit the like button, subscribe button, notifications bell, comment, please consider donating to my channel. My Venmo's there. Okay, so thanks very much. Let's go ahead and thank your higher selves, your angels, ancestors, spirit totems, elementals, angels, yeah, ascended masters. Thank you very, very much for pile. Choose information. Very nice reading for y'all.